Careful, human. I can hear everything. The words hit Dominic Vale 3 seconds too late, right after he'd mentally undressed the alien ambassador standing before him. Dominic had memorized every protocol, every cultural sensitivity brief, every possible greeting for humanity's first contact with a telepathic species. What he hadn't prepared for was her. Ambassador Ashara stood framed by Meridian Station's viewport, blue skin luminescent in the starlight, feline ears tracking his approach with predatory precision. Her fitted uniform revealed lean muscle and dangerous curves. Vertical pupils locked onto him. God, she's beautiful. What would she feel like? That skin looks impossibly soft. Would she purr if I... Her ears flattened. A low, involuntary sound rumbled from her chest. Distinctly feline, unmistakably a purr. Her eyes went wide, hand freezing halfway through their greeting. Oh, fuck. Telepathic. She was telepathic. Ashara's lips curved into something between a smile and a threat. She closed the distance in one fluid step, near enough that he caught her scent, cinnamon and electricity. Careful, human, she purred, her voice resonating in his chest. I can hear everything. Heat crawled up Dominic's neck. Every fantasy from the past 30 seconds, she'd experienced all of it. He should apologize, salvage this diplomatic catastrophe. But her eyes held something that stopped him. Not offense, interest. Most diplomats think in layers, she said quietly, though her aide stood meters away. Surface thoughts, carefully composed. Deeper thoughts, hidden behind mental discipline. She took his hand, grip warm and firm. Do you know what I heard from you, Dominic Vale? He shook his head, pulse hammering. Truth. Raw, unfiltered, honest truth. No barriers, no deception, no mental walls. Her purr started again, quieter but unmistakable. You can't hide anything, can you? No, he admitted, I really can't. Good. Her smile widened, showing teeth slightly too sharp. She turned to her aides, spoke flowing syllables, and they departed without question. She looked back at him. I propose new terms. You don't try to control your thoughts. I respond to what you're actually thinking, not what you're saying. She moved toward the conference table, tail tracing hypnotic patterns. No diplomatic performance, just honesty. That's not how negotiations work. No, Ashara settled into a chair with feline grace. But I'm curious to see what happens when we try. Despite every instinct screaming this was insane, Dominic sat. The negotiation hadn't even started, and he'd already broken every rule. 20 minutes into formal discussions, Ashara declared them postponed. We need to establish parameters, she said, rising with liquid grace. Privately. Commander Fontaine's expression suggested opinions about privacy during first contact, but she simply nodded. They walked the station's central corridor, footsteps echoing in different rhythms. Dominic maintained careful distance, hyper-aware of every movement, the sway of her tail, how her ears tracked sounds he couldn't hear. Stop it, she can hear you. Her soft laugh confirmed it. Don't, she said without looking at him, don't try to control it. That's the whole point. The point of what, exactly? Of seeing if honesty can actually work. The observation lounge was empty at this hour. Ashara settled onto a low bench, patting the space beside her. Dominic sat, maintaining distance. How does it work, he asked. The telepathy? We don't read minds completely. Strong emotions broadcast clearly. Surface thoughts, especially vivid ones. The rest is impressions, intent. She paused, eyes darkening. Desire. Heat crawled up his spine. So you heard everything I thought when I first saw you? Yes, every detailed fantasy, every explicit thought, every reaction. I'm sorry. Are you? She leaned closer, erasing that careful distance. Because your thoughts say otherwise. She wasn't wrong. Being near her amplified everything. The urge to touch, to test if her skin felt as warm as it looked, to discover what other sounds she could make besides that involuntary purr. My people shield ourselves, Ashara continued. From childhood, we're taught mental discipline, walls, barriers. By the time we reach adulthood, broadcasting openly is considered, she searched for the word, obscene, intimate, something done only with chosen partners. And I just broadcasted my attraction with the mental equivalent of shouting. Her smile turned sharp. In front of my aides, during formal first contact. Dominic dropped his head into his hands. I've sabotaged everything. No. Her hand touched his shoulder, light and warm. You've done something I've never experienced. You've been completely, utterly honest. He looked up to find her face inches from his. Do you know what Solvarii politics are like? She asked. Centuries of telepaths who've perfected deception despite our abilities. We lie with our mental shields, presenting false surfaces while hiding true intentions. Every negotiation is layers of betrayal wrapped in courtesy. Her hand slid from his shoulder to his jaw, tilting his face toward hers. But you can't lie to me at all, can you? No, I never could lie well even to humans. A diplomat who can't lie. Her thumb traced his cheekbone. How did you survive? Selective truth, misdirection, saying what I mean but controlling how I say it. His breath caught as she leaned closer. But that doesn't work with you. No, she agreed, it doesn't. Her purr started again, deeper this time, deliberate. Her pupils were wide and dark. What are you thinking right now? She whispered. That I want to kiss you, that this is a terrible idea, that I don't care. The words tumbled out helpless. That you're the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and I've wanted to touch you since the moment you turned around. Then touch me. He did, threaded his fingers into her hair, feeling the soft fur of her ears. She made a sound, half purr, half sigh, and closed the final distance between them. The kiss was electric. She tasted foreign and intoxicating, her lips soft against his. Her hands found his chest, fingers spreading over his jacket. The purr vibrated through her whole body. Dominic pulled her closer. She came willingly, practically climbing into his lap, tail wrapping around his forearm. Every point of contact sent sensation cascading through him. Her warmth, her scent, the alien softness of her skin. His thoughts spiraled into pure want, and she responded to each one. When he thought about the curve of her throat, she tilted her head back. When he wondered about sensitive spots behind her ears, she guided his hand there and gasped against his mouth. The station alert blared through the speakers. They broke apart, breathing hard. Ashara's pupils were blown wide, expression dazed. Dominic's hands were still in her hair. Security breach in the diplomatic wing, the automated voice announced. All personnel report to designated stations. Commander Fontaine's voice cut through on General Channel. Vale, we need you here now. Ashara was on her feet instantly, all softness gone. Her hand dropped to where a weapon would hang. How long have I been away from my quarters? 30 minutes. Someone's accessed my files. Her tail lashed once. I'm coming with you. They ran. The diplomatic wing was controlled chaos. Security swept corridors with hand scanners. Commander Fontaine met them at Ashara's quarters. Nothing taken, she said, but someone definitely accessed the terminal, tried to wipe their tracks, but left traces. Dominic moved inside. Standard diplomatic suite. The terminal sat dark on the desk. What were they looking for? He asked. Ashara's expression had gone cold. Treaty terms, human military deployments, trade route proposals. She touched the terminal and it flickered to life. Everything we'll be negotiating over the next week. False alarm? Commander Fontaine suggested. System glitch? No, Ashara and Dominic said simultaneously. They looked at each other. Her ears were flat against her skull, tail rigid. Someone's watching us, she said. The thought crystallized in Dominic's mind, and he watched her expression shift as she heard it. Someone who knew we'd be alone, he said aloud, who knew exactly when to search your quarters. Ashara's hand found his, fingers lacing through his own. This was never just about negotiations, was it? I don't know. But even as he said it, pieces connected. His specific selection, her interest in his transparency, the convenient timing. Nothing was coincidence in diplomacy. Commander Fontaine cleared her throat. I'll post guards. You two should get some rest. But as Dominic looked at Ashara's troubled expression, he knew neither of them would sleep tonight. Something larger was moving around them, and they'd just become pieces in someone else's game. Dominic's quarters were smaller than Ashara's, meticulously organized. She stood in the center, her presence making the space feel confined. You didn't have to walk me back, he said. I wanted to. Her tail swished once. And you wanted me to. No point denying what she could hear. The kiss in the observation lounge still burned on his lips, and every moment since had been an exercise in restraint. Someone's manipulating us, he said, forcing logic through the haze of want. The breach was too convenient, too precisely timed. I know. She moved closer, each step deliberate. Does that change what you're feeling? No. Good. Her hands found his chest, sliding up to his shoulders. Because it doesn't change what I'm feeling either. Ashara. I've spent my entire life behind mental walls, she said, her voice dropping to something raw. Every interaction filtered, every thought controlled. Do you understand what it's like to be surrounded by people yet completely alone? Her fingers traced his collar. Then you walked into that conference room and you were just open. Every thought, every feeling, completely unguarded. Her purse started again, vibrating against his chest. I've never experienced anything like it. Dominic's hands found her waist. This is a terrible idea. Yes, someone's watching us, using us. Probably. She leaned in, breath warm against his throat. Still want me to leave? His answer came in pulling her closer, in the way his hands tightened on her hips. Words were unnecessary when she could hear every thought, the want, the need, the way she'd consumed his awareness since that first moment. She kissed him with an intensity that stole breath. They stumbled toward the sleeping alcove, shedding clothes between kisses. Her body was all lean muscle and alien grace, blue skin luminous in dim lighting. She pushed him onto the bed, climbing over him with feline precision. Tell me, she breathed against his ear. Tell me what you're thinking. You, how you feel, how you taste, how I want. She responded to each thought before he could finish it. When he thought about her ears, she guided his hand there, purring deep. When he wondered about sensitive spots along her spine, she arched into his touch. Every fantasy from that first meeting became reality under her hands, her mouth, her body moving against his. The telepathic link worked both ways. He felt her reactions, not through thoughts, but through echoes of sensation, pleasure feeding back between them. When he touched her, he felt his own touch through her perspective. When she kissed him, he experienced both sides. It was overwhelming, intoxicating, unlike anything he'd ever experienced. Time dissolved into sensation, her skin against his, the taste of her, the sound she made, the way she read his body through his thoughts, anticipating and responding before he could ask. When they finally collapsed together, breathing hard and tangled in sheets, the station's night cycle had fully engaged.
Ashara lay against his chest, one leg hooked over his, tail draped across his thigh. Her purr had quieted to subtle vibration. "Your people call my species beautiful," she said into the darkness. "Exotic, alluring. You are. We use it, diplomatic advantage, distraction. My government selected me for this mission partly because human psychology responds to feline features." She tilted her head to look at him. "Did you know that? Does it bother you? Should it?" He stroked the soft fur behind her ear. "You could look like anything and I'd still be drawn to you. It's not your appearance, it's your mind." Her expression softened. "We're so isolated, telepaths who can't trust each other. We've built walls so high we've forgotten what real connection feels like." She pressed closer and he wrapped his arms around her. "Why did they really send you?" he asked. "The Solvarii government, why request me specifically?" Her body tensed. "You know something. I can feel it. What aren't you telling me?" She pulled away, sitting up, sheets pulled around her waist. For a long moment she stared at the wall, tail wrapped around her own leg. "They know about your condition," she finally said. "What condition?" "The neuroatypicality that makes you incapable of sustained deception." She looked at him, eyes reflecting emergency lighting. "It's in your psychological profile. Your government thinks it's a quirk, a minor disadvantage you've learned to work around." Dominic sat up slowly. "But you don't think it's minor. My government requested you because of it." Her voice went flat, controlled. "Because someone who can't lie to a telepath would be the perfect intelligence source." The words hung like a blade. "They want me to accidentally broadcast classified information," he said. "And you?" The betrayal hit him like a physical blow. "You were assigned to extract it. I was assigned to keep you close." Her hands twisted in the sheets. "To build rapport, to encourage you to think about sensitive topics while I listened."
He stood, searching for his clothes with shaking hands. "Please." "How much?" His voice came out harsh. "How much have you already taken from my head?" "Nothing. I haven't reported anything. I swear it." "Why should I believe you? You just admitted you're a spy." "Because I'm telling you now." Her voice cracked. "Because I can't do it." "Why not? Isn't that what you were trained for?" She flinched as if struck. "Because everything I felt tonight was real. Everything I told you about connection, about loneliness, about never experiencing honesty, all of it was true. I may have been sent here with orders, but what happened between us," her voice broke, "that was real, Dominic. That was mine." He wanted to believe her, wanted to trust the emotion in her voice, the vulnerability in her eyes. But trust was a luxury he couldn't afford. "Get out," he said. "Please." She gathered her clothes in silence, movements jerky and wrong. At the door, she turned back. "They'll come for you soon, the conspirators. They'll try to extract everything you know, with or without my help. You need to leave the station." "Go where?" "Anywhere." Her ears lay flat. "Just go." The door slid shut, leaving Dominic alone in the darkness, wondering if anything about the last 2 days had been real at all. Dominic didn't sleep. He spent the hours before dawn accessing station records, following digital breadcrumbs. The security breach hadn't been random. Someone had systematically accessed files across 3 departments: human military deployments, treaty negotiations, his own psychological evaluations. His terminal chimed. Commander Fontaine's face appeared. "Vale, we've got a situation. Conference room now." He dressed quickly. In the corridor, he nearly collided with Ashara. She looked as exhausted as he felt, eyes shadowed. They stared at each other for a heartbeat. "I accessed the security footage," she said. "All of it. I know who's behind the conspiracy." "Show me." They diverted to a service corridor. Ashara pulled up a portable display. The footage showed Sarif, her own aide, entering restricted areas with access codes that shouldn't exist, meeting with Counselor Theos Keth in shadowed corners, planting data chips in multiple terminals.
Theos, Dominic said. He's the one who requested me specifically.
He's been planning this for months.
Ashara's fingers flew across the display. The goal was never negotiation. It was provocation. Use your inability to shield thoughts as a weapon. Extract intelligence, then blame humanity for the breach.
And you were supposed to help him?
She met his eyes.
Yes.
The honesty cut deeper than any lie could have.
But I won't.
She continued.
I brought you evidence. We can expose them.
They'll have contingencies. People like Theos always do.
Then we need to move faster.
An explosion rocked the station. Emergency alarms shrieked. Lights flickered to red backup systems. Fontaine's voice crackled through comms. All personnel to emergency stations. We've got hull breaches in sections 9 and 12. This is not a drill. Ashara grabbed his arm. That's near the diplomatic quarters. They're making their move. They ran. Corridors filled with personnel rushing to posts. Another explosion shook the deck. Through a viewport, Dominic glimpsed debris spinning into space.
They're going to kill everyone to cover their tracks,
Ashara said. Not everyone, just the witnesses who matter. Dominic changed direction, pulling her toward the command deck. They need someone to survive, someone to tell the story they want told. Commander Fontaine had turned the command deck into a war room. Damage reports scrolled across multiple screens. She spun when they entered. Vale, what the hell is happening?
Sabotage. Solvarii conspirators trying to start a war.
That's a serious accusation,
I have proof.
Ashara said, holding up her display. Security footage, communication logs, financial transfers. Counselor Theos Keth has been orchestrating this since before negotiations began.
Fontaine studied the data. Expression hardening. How many are on this station?
At least 6 that I've identified, but they have support back on the Solvarii homeworld. Another explosion, closer this time. The deck tilted before stabilizers compensated.
They're targeting life support next,
Dominic said. They want to make it look like humanity sabotaged the station, create an incident that demands military response.
Then we stop them. Fontaine opened a comm channel. All security teams converge on life support. Shoot to disable, not kill. We need prisoners.
Wait, an idea was forming. Dangerous, probably insane. There's another way. He turned to Ashara. How many telepaths are on this station?
7. 6 conspirators and me.
Can they all hear me if I broadcast loudly enough? Her ears pricked forward.
If the thoughts are strong enough, emotionally charged enough.
She studied his face.
What are you planning?
Honesty. The one thing they can't fake or manipulate. My complete inability to lie.
Dominic.
Can you amplify it? My thoughts? Broadcast them station-wide through whatever frequency telepathy works on?
Fontaine stepped forward.
That's not possible.
It is, Ashara said slowly. Bioelectric fields. If we route his transmission through the station's electromagnetic grid, modulate the frequency, her fingers flew across the console. It would require direct physical contact, a constant link while he broadcasts. Will it work? I don't know. No one's ever tried. She looked up at him. And it will hurt. Forcing that much emotional content through an open channel, it could damage you psychologically. Do it. She hesitated only a moment before nodding. Her hands found his temples, touch gentle despite the urgency. Think everything, she said. Every memory, every feeling, every truth you know. Don't hold back. Dominic closed his eyes and let the walls fall. He thought about meeting Ashara, that first rush of attraction, the kiss in the observation lounge, making love in his quarters, the betrayal when she revealed the conspiracy, his certainty that despite her orders, despite her original intentions, what they'd shared was real. He thought about the evidence, Sarif's movements, Theos's communications, the systematic planning that had gone into framing humanity. He thought about his own psychological profile, the neuroatypicality that made him useless at deception.
He thought about peace, about the potential for alliance between species, about the waste of starting a war over manufactured evidence and political manipulation. Most of all, he thought about Ashara, about trust and vulnerability and connection, about how she'd risked everything to warn him, about how he knew, absolutely knew, that her feelings were genuine because he'd felt them echo through that telepathic link. The emotional weight built like pressure behind his eyes. Ashara's grip on his temples tightened. Her purr started, not from pleasure, but from strain as she channeled his thoughts outward. Through the viewports, he saw the Solvarii vessel, lights flickering aboard it as his broadcast reached them. On the station, security teams reported conspirators suddenly dropping their weapons, clutching their heads. "It's working," Fontaine breathed. Dominic pushed harder. Every fear, every hope, every classified piece of information he knew, and more importantly, every piece he didn't. His ignorance was as honest as his knowledge. No military secrets because he wasn't military. No tactical information because he was a diplomat, not a spy. Nothing to extract because there was nothing there. His legs buckled. Ashara held him upright, her own body trembling with effort. Blood trickled from her nose. "Almost there," she gasped. "Keep going." He thought about humanity's desire for peace, about the flawed, honest, messy way humans approach the universe, about how they'd sent him, their most transparently awful liar, because they'd actually wanted honest first contact. The final push, his absolute certainty that Theos's conspiracy existed, the evidence, the proof, the undeniable truth transmitted through pure emotion that no mental shielding could fake. Ashara collapsed against him. Dominic caught her as they both went down, tangled together on the deck. His ears rang, vision swam. But through the viewports, he saw the Solvarii vessel powering down weapons, saw escape pods launching, conspirators fleeing rather than facing what he'd just exposed. Fontaine was shouting orders, security teams reporting captures, fires in sections 9 and 12 contained. Dominic looked at Ashara. She looked back, both breathing hard. "Did it work?" he asked. Her smile was exhausted but genuine. Every telepath in range heard everything. Your truth, your honesty, your inability to deceive even if you wanted to. Her hand found his. They can't claim conspiracy now, not when 6 different telepaths receive the same undeniable evidence from a mind that can't lie. "Good. Good," she echoed. They lay there on the command deck, hands clasped, while around them the crisis slowly resolved into aftermath. And Dominic thought, clearly enough that she'd hear it, that despite everything, he'd do it all again. 3 months later, the Emergency Council had convened. Theos and his co-conspirators faced tribunal. Trust between species hung by threads. But Elder Miara, silver-tipped ears marking her centuries of experience, had made an unprecedented decision. She'd assigned both of them, the human who couldn't lie and the Solvarii who'd chosen truth over orders, to build a new kind of treaty, one based on transparency instead of strategy. Now they stood on the observation deck where it had all begun, reviewing treaty drafts. Earth hung in the distance. Beyond it, Solvarii vessels and human ships mingled, the beginnings of something larger than either of them. Ashara leaned against him, and Dominic wrapped his arm around her shoulders. Her purr vibrated against his chest, steady and content. "What are you thinking?" she asked. "That this is either the beginning of a beautiful alliance or the most complicated relationship in human history. Why not both? Both works." He pressed a kiss to the top of her head, between her ears. "Both definitely works." Her tail wrapped around his leg, and he smiled at how natural it felt, how right. The future spread out before them, uncertain and challenging and full of possibility. 2 species learning to trust, 2 people learning to love across the gaps between them. And for once in his life, Dominic Vale's inability to lie wasn't a weakness. It was exactly what they needed.